Hello, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. My name is OctoMan, and we are taking a look into this part 3 right now, in which we wanted to implement, or we want to implement, some upgrades inside our panel over there and get them running by just purchasing them. What we did in the last part, we were just adding some the upgrades itself, so the possibility about this, like the fish upgrades as well as the stone upgrades in this point, and now we want to visualize them and perform the actual upgrades whenever they are possible. And for doing so, we need to do multiple things. First off, we need to have a knowledge about who is going to, or which is the upgrade we are going to purchase. And so as we probably, or you probably remember from the actual inventory, we needed to have an ID to talk back to whatever we got or whatever we want to sell. Whenever we press on the sell button, we know, or we need to know, what do we sell, which ID do we sell, and what do we get from that. So there's like a back and forth functionality, and currently we don't have this in our upgrades script because, well, we do have an ID over there, but we cannot really talk to it because, well, we haven't stored that, and we need to store that anyhow, as usual, inside our item holder. Or we're gonna make use of another script about upgrades, so we're just going to do that. But currently we don't use the item ID in this particular case to get the data into our item holder, or in this particular case in the update holder. Basically we use both for the same issue or for the same thing, and we want to buy an upgrade based on that. So whenever we click on a buy button, we want to make use of that ID again back to the upgrades. But since we don't have that implemented yet, we want to make use of this. And also for the visualization, we want to make use of that, so we are able to visualize the stone upgrade as well as the fish upgrade, and later on maybe also a shovel upgrade, in which we do different things, because the shovel is not a purchasable item like an ID to change, and but it will still have something like a item price. In that case, we may or may not want to put in some empty numbers, maybe something like minus, negative numbers, or just zeros. So whenever there's a zero, we don't really need to change anything to the ID, but we may or may not be able to perform the things. And so, how do we fill the upgrades list? The first thing we did for the inventory itself was we were creating a grid, or like a connection to the grid, in which we want to put all these items, like, or the actual upgrades in this case. So we make use of a transform in that particular case, which is going to represent the grid for the upgrades themselves. Also, we need to have a connection to the prefab, so we have to have a game object for the upgrades holder, I would say. Upgrades holder. So, and we want to populate our list, or let's say our panel, like this particular grid, with enough upgrades holder based on how many we have. And currently we don't know how much we have, and we have no list which we can make use of. So beforehand we were just commenting this list out, like about all the possible upgrades. What we could do is we can populate the upgrades with the upgrades we have created over there. And may or may not need to extend this particular upgrades. So this list needs to have like all the other necessary things later on as well, like having something available, or even not, something like is on or off. Something is at current level 0, and when it is 0 there's no performance for that. Or maybe we need to handle that stuff differently, like this automatic things, like automatically digging the hole away, like every now and then. And for that we need to start particular processes, like invoke repeating, or a coroutine, which is taking care of if that level is not 0, but in this particular case level 1, so it can do the actual process over there, and then does what it has to do. Do it through the automatic digging as an example, or automatic fishing to get automatically items out of the fishing pond and bring this into your inventory. And then you can have another one which is doing auto selling, which is also another upgrade possibility over there. But once again, we need to design all of that in case of code around it. So instead of using these ones over there or this one over there, well, not this, but maybe that one's over here, we need to have also a list where all these upgrades have been landed inside. And the list, our current list, is based on upgrade itself. So the type is this particular class. Whenever we do changes to this class, we also may or may not have to have another class which may or may not inherit this class, so we can extend it. So that's where I was talking about possibility for scriptable objects, in which they do inherit just specific things, but the rest is literally not useful for this particular class. So once again, there are hundreds of possibilities for that and performing this. Okay, since we know how this looks now and how this has to look, I'm gonna get rid of these just again, and I'm gonna have to remember what is what in this upgrade list. I can, if I want to, also populate the upgrade list automatically by this too, depending on whatever we have set them, or we just make them however they have been before. So, and what we see now is a lot of red whenever we do this. So in that case, we're gonna have to know what is the actual stone upgrade about, and what is later on like the upgrade for the fish, as an example. What are the IDs? Who is where? And let's assume we have that and we know this. I'm gonna do some command over here, in which we want to store the information about. So we can do this also handling the complete handling with IDs as well. So but we need to know in what and at what let's say position on the list, on our upgrade list, which item is going to be, or which upgrade sits. Let's assume we have our stone upgrade, and this is going to sit at element 0. So we need to know or understand that we know, okay, stone is at element 0 and has to be there. Fish upgrades have to be at element 1. And maybe we have something else like other upgrades which are going to come after, like shovel upgrade. If there is one, it's going to have the ID 2. We need to know this, we need to know these numbers, we need to understand them. So if we do so, like whenever we want to get the stone ID, we can now go to our upgrade list in square brackets, and now we use whatever the IDs we need. In that case, it's the ID 0 to get just the stone upgrade, the actual information about this ID or about this current level over there. So what we need to do is we need to change now the stone upgrade, this one, because we don't use it anymore, to be inside our upgrades list ID over there. If we want to target one specific ID, we can also say, okay, we want to request one specific ID, in this case the ID 0, and then we just take this and can literally take not just the stone ID, but we can literally get the performance of any type, of any kind of ID, whichever we are going to request whenever we put this in here as an argument. What does it mean is I can say we request one specific ID, and in here, instead of using 0, we can say we want to get whatever the current ID is, so any upgrade ID. So we can get an upgrade ID by just, or in this case, from the current level of one specific ID we are going to request. I'm gonna save that just for a second so we can take a look into the function, which should be update send UI. I believe it's over here. Whenever we add a stone, we want to get the ID, but which ID is it? And we need to remember that we are requesting the integer of the get stone ID, but in that case it's not just the stone ID, it is the upgrade ID. So we want to grab from our upgrade ID 0, which represents the stone in our list, like the first index in our list. If we want it to be like that inside over here, then we pass in this ID over here, and then we return the current level, or actually the upgraded list item from that. If we want to upgrade one specific thing, we're gonna do the same. Instead of just going directly to the stone like we did over here, we just pass in the ID we want to upgrade. So int ID is the one we need to request, and then we go to our upgrades list. I'm gonna copy this one and pass it over there. And whenever we now need to clamp that, so if we try to overdo it based on the current level of this particular requested ID, we only want to make it so that it only has the length, or the maximum index is going to be this ID to change dot length. Don't forget to save. And now we need to fill the list, and now we can just take each of these IDs whenever we set them up correctly, and actually fill also the information to the item holder in the end. So whenever we later on buy an upgrade from our item holder, we need to talk to our upgrades list and say whatever we want to upgrade is the one over there by whatever the ID is of the upgrade inside our item holder. So in that case, we can go in to item holder and say whenever we purchase something, upgrades dot instance dot buy or whatever it is, upgrade. It's not upgrade stone. Oh yes, it is. In this case, we're gonna say buy upgrade by ID. Don't forget to save, and in our item holder we now say buy upgrade, and this upgrade represents or takes the item ID from our item holder, so item ID. And of course close the line with a semicolon. So this now goes onto the buy button on our item holder, like the upgrade holder literally. So because on the upgrade holder, of course, we have the same button, like we have the same setup, but the only difference is the actual input over here. So instead of selling an item to the item holder, we're gonna pick buy upgrade. Of course, we need to make sure that we update our actual prefab over there. So we go to upgrade holder, overrides, apply all. So our button over here, the buy button in this particular case, holds the correct information. Okay, so far so good. This should now work. Now we need to populate the list by whatever the upgrades in our upgrade list are going to be. So in that case, we create a new function which we call from start or from wherever or whenever we need to. So we say void draw upgrades. Open close parentheses, open close curly brace. What we do is we again do the same as we did in the upgrade or in the item inventory. We loop through the upgrade list, and per item in this list we're gonna perform the draw, like the instantiation. So we loop through with a for loop, for int I equals 0 while I is smaller than our upgrades list dot count, we increment I. So meanwhile we are looping through that, so for each particular item in our upgrades list of this particular upgrades type, we are able to put in any other upgrades as well. And how do we do this? Once again, is rather simple. First off, we catch our game object because we need to talk to it and upgrade things directly on it. It's again our holder, whatever we call it, doesn't really matter. We're going to instantiate that. And first off, we need to know what do we instantiate. It's going to be our upgrades holder, this one. Then we need to say who is going to be the parent. In this case, it's the grid. And then we need to say false, because we want to make it in local space and not in world space. Then we need to take the item holder and catch that as well. So I named this as I holder is equal to, and now we can get the component from the holder. So holder dot get component, and probably we don't even need to do this as we did before, but in that case we take item holder as being the component we want to request, and then we are good to go. And now we can talk to I holder literally and say get data, and now we can pass in whatever the data is. And the data in this particular case is going to be the loop through item or the loop through upgrade. So we say upgrade list or upgrades list in square brackets I, so the index we are currently looping through, dot upgrade ID is going to be like the first index over there, or the first information we want to talk to. Then we can also take I as being the ID, I would say, but well, once again, this is up to us or to you. The next one is going to be the item name. So in that case, I just copy this part and just paste it. It's going to be dot upgrade name dot upgrade name. Then the next one is going to be how much does it cost, and in that particular case, well, it's going to be the upgrades list in square brackets I dot, then we have the actual item price over here, and then we're gonna take in square brackets whatever the current level of this item is. So upgrades in square brackets I dot current level, which is going to be once again the ID of the current upgrades, and then we have an amount, and the amount is literally the maximum level. In that particular case is the current level, I would say, and yeah, the current level dot current level. So what is the current level is going to be the amount in this particular case, so we can make reuse of the actual item holder. Don't forget to save. And now, since we have that, we should see some of these. But before we actually draw and redraw things, we also want to clear the list. So for each item of for int I equals 0, while I is smaller than our yeah, now it's interesting. We don't have a secondary list. We don't want to really delete them, I guess, because whenever we clear this current list, this upgrades list, it's bad. So we need to have something which is going to be our invisible list, I would say, which actually just holds all the game objects as we did for the other one. So it doesn't need to be a public list, just a normal one. The type is going to be the game object type, since we're gonna put in all the item panels or the upgrade panel holders, whatever. So I'm gonna name this one upgrade holder list or something. Holder list is equal to new list of type game object, open close parentheses, close the line with a semicolon. So for redrawing, we want to make use of this upgrade holder list over here, upgrade holder list.count. And what we want to do is we want to destroy each item inside this list. So upgrade holder list in square brackets I. So we can literally just redraw it. Then we need to clear the list, so we say upgrade holder list dot clear, so it's completely back to 0, and then we refill it again. And meanwhile we go through all of these items over there. We want to make use of item holder list dot add. We want to add this particular one, this particular holder object, to be inside our upgrades holder list, the second one over there, the private one. Don't forget to save. And now we just need to call draw updates or upgrades, and we literally, whenever we change something, like we gonna buy an upgrade as an example, then we want to redraw the list. Or whenever we show the upgrades panel, we can also do this. Like whenever we open or close it, we can also redraw it. So, but maybe not a good idea at this point. So more or less the best way, whenever we buy something, we want to upgrade, and also we want to actually do this like after we are done with initializing the game, literally. Hey Oscar, thanks a lot for tuning in. So in that case, we're gonna go and call draw upgrades, copy, at the very first, so whenever the game starts, as well as we want to make sure whenever we buy an upgrade that we redraw the list as well. So we call draw upgrades over there as well. Don't forget to save, and let's see if that works. First off, of course, we need to populate like everything we need. Like in a game manager itself, we need to define who's the grid and who's the upgrade holder game object. So upgrade holder is this prefab. The grid is going to be this grid wherever all these holder objects are going to be inside. I'm gonna get rid of this one because we don't need it, I hope. And we also now need to take a look into the upgrade list itself. So we want to have an upgrade of 2 at the moment. For the first one, we're gonna go and name it stone upgrade or upgrades. Then we have a current level of 0. Then we have an upgrade ID. The ID, once again, doesn't really matter. We can keep it as 1 if we want to. Then we have the IDs to change, which has a size of 2. The first element is going to be 10. The second one is going to be 11. So we're gonna go from stone to iron. And later on you can add in gold and silver and all the other stuff, automatically done over there. And then we have the item price for each. So the first one doesn't cost anything. The next one should cost 1,000. I'm not quite sure if that works as it should, but we'll see. If that doesn't work, then we need to do it the second way, as I already explained beforehand. And if that is like the last one, like the last item in the list, then I may or may not need to go and change that back to something else. Or maybe this last item needs to be 0 always, and we need to fill in the cost for the first item over there to go into the second one. Before we are purchasing that, we're going to take a look into this. Next one are going to be fish upgrades. Fish upgrades. Fish upgrades. Currently level 0, of course. Currently we don't have any ID to change. So we are not able to do anything with that. So we shouldn't have any issues with that. But we want to make use of the size of this list. So whenever this size is 1, we want to have the item price to be 1 here as well. I'm gonna save that since I've done quite some changes, and let's see if that works. So thanks a lot, Backstory. Well, probably because I'm not, let's say, as often online, I would say. That's why. So what we can see over here now, I selected my upgrades button, and we have like this stone upgrades as well as this fish upgrades. And when I try to buy one, the fun part is, since they both have, or this one upgrades the wrong ID, this one got upgraded to be like 1,000 right now, and we are at level 1 in stone upgrades. So we need to change that, of course. So the ID for not the stone upgrades but the fish upgrades needs to be 1 or 2 in this case. So try again. So we open this, we buy that, but as you can see, we cannot do anything. And also it tells me, hey, you are out of range of the size of that particular one. So we need to, before we do the buy, we need to take a look into if that is even possible. Like the clamping in this particular case doesn't seem to work as it should. So we need to maybe protect it beforehand, like putting a modulo, no, well, not a modulo, but something else, like only do this if the ID or the size -1 is going to be the correct one, or we're gonna have to do the length -1 over here. Let's see if that works. So if I try to buy the fish upgrade right now, it still takes me and tells me there's an index out of range exception. So it tries to increase it. So by taking this particular ID over there, I guess. So when we buy this upgrade, we're gonna implement. What is the actual ID we are taking whenever we click on the button? That's interesting. What is this actual ID doing here? Let's see. The item ID over there. I'm gonna take a look into this list. Like we have these 2 upgrade holders over there, and this one has an item ID 1, and this one has an item ID 2, and the buy button has, oh no, that's not this one. The buy button over here is trying to buy an upgrade with an ID. So what we don't need is literally, I guess, we don't need this one. Oh, we do need this. We do need this because we are taking the item ID over there, so this is necessary. Let's take a look. We go here, we buy an upgrade for a specific item ID, then we go into the list and we try to add the current level over there. When does the problem appear? That is the question. When does the problem appear? Does the problem appear when we are going to add it? Thanks a lot, Braxter. I'm glad you found me. What we need to do is we need to check now in what is the current level, or is the current level higher than it can be. Like maybe we need to check this first. So something like if current ID blah 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 current level, copy paste, if that, or as long as that is smaller than the IDs, maybe that's, then we don't need to use massf.clump over here. If the current ID.list, let's say IDs to change .length, so the one we just had beforehand probably has a mistake anywhere. Only then we want to perform the adding to the list. So I can get rid of this one. Like over here. And also only then we want to draw the upgrades. Otherwise we don't do anything. So only if that is the case. So if the current level is smaller than the length over there. I'm not quite sure if that works, but we'll see. So hitting Control S, pressing play, and let's see if we can purchase now a fish upgrade, which we shouldn't be able to. We still get an argument out of range exception. And this one here, why does it say new text? If I buy that, what do I buy? That doesn't seem to be correct over here. Okay, so let's see. We have current level 0. We have an ID of 2 in fish upgrades. And we have a stone upgrade with an ID of 1. With a size of 2, we increase element 10 and 11. And a fish has also an ID of 1, an amount of 0. And we have an item price. Why does it change from stone upgrades, the actual fish item? Like, it changes like all the text and so on and so forth. Maybe that doesn't work because of this IDs over here, because the current level couldn't be yeah, that's where we got it here as well. Line 56, line 56, in which we try to bring information into the item holder. We have an ID, an upgrade name, we have an item price, all based on the current level, whatever it is, as well as we have an current level as being the amount. What's the problem? Gonna clear that and try again. Yeah, anyhow, this is wrong. X10. So this didn't got overwritten, that's why, and this one probably didn't got overwritten here as well. because there's no info about it, I guess. Upgrade holder list clear. We instantiate the holder. We pass in data. But what is the ID of that thing? Let's see. We have the second one. This one here has item ID of 0 over there, and it doesn't contain any upgraded things. And it has a coin image. Why does it? Ah, yeah, the coin image is correct. And this one over here, the first item, has the name of stone upgrades. Coins text, amount text 0. That's also correct. So that's fine. So what's the problem of our actual upgrade system? Is I guess this needs to be a 1, no matter what, because we are at level 0 literally, and the element 0 contains all this info. So whenever we now press play, it shouldn't give us the index out of range exception, and it should fill like everything completely. But when we click on buy, we are getting an argument out of range exception index. And now is the question, who is actually performing that? Once again, by double clicking, you can instantly go into the line, or you can see, okay, from line 73 in our actual buy upgrade function in upgrades directly. That's where the problem starts, or actually finishes up. But the deal is line 73 is outside. It's like here. It's like the complete function anyhow doesn't work as it should. So let's see if I can put a -1 right now over there, because maybe current level can, usually it should be lower than that. And it should be lower than 1 because we try to implement or increment it at a specific point. Maybe that is the problem. We're gonna do this once too much. So I still get an argument out of range. Cannot be non-negative. If current level is smaller equal length, the size of the list the size of the list is going to be a 1, but the current level is going to be 1 smaller than that. So usually we should say something like, yeah, current level, as long as that is smaller, like when this is 0 and the length is 1, it has to be 1, then it's always smaller. Then only then we want to do this, and then we increment that. So maybe we only want to do this if that is like 2 times smaller. So maybe we're gonna take the current level -1, so we have the possibility to upgrade this one. So we only have or we always have a gap between those by 1, otherwise we cannot perform an upgrade at this point. We want to avoid that we are able to upgrade something which is not upgradable. Gonna clear console again and see if that works. Nope, it still has issues. Let's see. I don't think that has to happen or has to do something with our draw upgrades, because beforehand it wasn't firing at all anyways. So we want to redraw the upgrades whenever we get done with the purchase. Whenever we purchase an upgrade based on this particular or one particular ID, we maybe need to may or may not need to be maybe there's something wrong over there. Maybe we're gonna debug first. So we say debug.log. What I want to know is the length of the upgrade we want to perform. Like, oh, what is the size of that? So I can put this into a debug log and put some parentheses around it, and then we get in, whenever we click on this, first off, we're gonna see the actual debug, and then we see the error. Oh, we should. So when I do this, I should see two things, but as you can see, anyhow, this doesn't work. It's like if the buttons themselves, like the upgrade panels themselves, do have wrong infos. No, they do not. So they have these IDs, the 1 and the 2. These are correct. So these are based on the upgrade panel IDs. But then we gonna click on an item holder. We're gonna call the by upgrade by item ID in our upgrades panel, which is this one. But this never fires. This debug log doesn't fire at all. So where is the actual issue? Maybe it's not over there. Maybe it's somewhere else. So when I click on to this one, you're gonna see that this gets overridden because of an index out of exception. But it tells me that the amount is going to be 1, like the total amount of the array. But it talks to something totally wrong. It does update something, or actually does create a new instance which doesn't contain whatever it should contain. And that's the strange thing. So whenever I purchase a stone upgrade, it tells me, okay, it creates something, but it cannot be created because, well, it cannot be filled with data, like with overdrawing, like whenever we draw these upgrades. Maybe on draw upgrades is something wrong. You're gonna have the upgrades list over there. We only clear the upgrade holder list and the very first. We're gonna add a holder to the upgrade holder list. But in here we only pass in upgrade list items. So what is the issue? Why does it give us the wrong infos? That's what we want to know. I bet it's just a super simple thing. Let's see where it starts. It starts at the item holder, line 31. So item holder, line 31 is where it gets triggered from. So we want to buy an upgrade by the item ID. The item ID should be inside. And if there's nothing inside, there's going to be a 0. Oh, I bet that is the problem. Oh, yes. I got it. In the inventory, let's take a look pretty quick. We have like 2 lists as well. But what do we, what we compare when we add something is, like whenever we add an item, first off we compare which item is the correct one. We do not, it's like we check for the correct ID, and if we are using an ID which is not available, then of course we go and get an error, an argument artifact range exception, because the list is smaller than it should be. So in that case, before we upgrade, we first need to check not the ID over there, we need to check which has the ID. So we need to loop through the upgrades list first and grab the correct ID. So we need to have another for loop over here. And we need to check for each item inside our upgrades ID list or upgrades list dot count. We increment I, and now we check for this incoming ID over there. So we are not taking here the ID. It doesn't make sense. We need to do the upgrade for the, let's say, found correct ID. So in that case, we need to define or loop through like everything and see which one is which, because the order can be any order. We don't know the order at this point. In that case, we could also, to avoid that, we could not use a direct ID like an upgrade ID in this particular case. We can take the actual list ID as being our upgrade ID. So what we now do is we loop through this list first, and find the actual incoming ID. So if upgrades list in square brackets I dot ID is equal to the incoming ID, only then we have a match. Otherwise, it doesn't make sense. So it could be anywhere. Thanks, Oscar. So whenever we found this one, I'm gonna Control X this one out over here. The ID is, in this particular case, should be this particular ID over there. I get rid of this. And of course we need to say equal to when these match, and it's not about the IDs to change, but it needs to be like the upgrade ID. If the upgrade ID is equal to this ID, then we can take I as being the indicator. So this is the correct index, and we can increment this current level. But we only want to do this if we are able to do this. And so we now need to do the same test as we did over here. But not, let me just copy this, paste, but not based on the ID. We need to do this based on I, because that's the current index we are looping through, and then we're gonna upgrade our item, and then we draw all the corresponding upgrades. Okay, so that makes way more sense, of course, and this is the only way, I believe, to get it right. Otherwise, we always get this index out of range exceptions, because the indexes are actually, indexes are wrong otherwise. So now we press here. Okay, it still tells me the same. Oh, that's pretty strange. Why does it do it? What does it do actually? Okay, let's see. I just comment stuff out to make it 100% right. And I guess this one here is wrong as well. We want to draw or redraw everything once the complete list has been created. Let me just instantly test again. Maybe there was just some other strange behavior. And there's still index out of bounds exception, so we'll see. I buy a stone upgrade, and now you can see stone upgrade 1 works. So I get now the next upgrade would be $1,000, and we are at level 1. If I buy again, then it's not available anymore, and I can still, as you can see, we can buy now thousands of things, even if we don't have them in as a possibility of that. So, meaning we don't even get all the game objects deleted over there. Let's see what we did different to our actual inventory. I'm gonna draw our inventory here. And where do we draw our inventory? We added the holder over there after we cleared like the complete holder list. We added those. We changed that, or we probably added something to it, which we don't need to do on the other side. But when we destroy it, we just destroy whatever the game object is. So something is wrong here with our upgrades. No idea where this problem could be from, but let's see if we find it. So we pass in the upgrade ID, we pass in the upgrade name. We only draw upgrades whenever we are done with buying an upgrade to whatever the spot is. And if the IDs match and our current level is smaller than the length of that, we increment that, then we redraw it. But why does it delete the stone upgrades list at this, or the stone upgrades item? It doesn't make sense. Oh, where do we get the upgrade ID from? Or when do we get this upgrade ID? When we are adding an item. So we need to rewrite this as well, as I can see, since this ID does not correspond to the upgrades list over there. So first off, we need to find the correct ID at this point. So we need to go through the upgrades list .count over here and increment I. And then we wanna say if the upgrades list upgrades list ID to change, let's copy this, and here we're gonna take I as an indicator. If that ID to change is actually equal to no, it's just first off just that one. If that ID or I dot upgrade ID is the same as the incoming ID, then we want to return this one over there. Copy and paste. But in here we need to change I. So this is going to be I and this is going to be I. So the current level of the currently found item, where's the current level of that item? That's what we want to return. And otherwise, and here we need to return something like null. And we're gonna save that. Or we just, if we wanna return an integer, we can also say return 0 at this point, so we haven't found any matching ID. Literally, we just return 0. Probably that's a bad idea to return a 0 over there, but yeah, that's a possibility, I would say. So same for the upgrades list. We look through that, we compare the IDs, like the upgrade ID with this ID, and if we have found it, we maybe want to do this over here and return at the point whenever we found or we upgraded this particular one, so we don't need to go through the other ones. Maybe that is where the issue came from, because the for loop goes forward like constantly until we say we don't want to see it anymore. We only want to find one item, one thing. And so currently we are not able to do this, but the second upgrade, and also I wonder why it just deletes itself. It's pretty strange. So I go out of maximize on play and see what's happening here in my upgrade holder. So when I press on fish upgrades, it just deletes itself and just creates a new one, why ever. And for stone upgrades, I can't buy this, but at the same time, it also creates that upgrade holder. And now everything is blocked And these are just empty placeholders, literally. And nobody knows why. So and this upgrade holder has an ID of 0, this one has a 0, this one has a 0. Pretty strange. Maybe I can take a look into the debug line over here of the upgrade holder list. So currently we have like 2 things inside, and when I press that, they are correct. But if I now upgrade this one and do it the second time, it just completely empties out the upgrade holder list, because whenever draw upgrades in line 56, which gets triggered from the buy upgrade on line 38, doesn't perform quite well, and so it zeroes everything out over here. And that's the strange thing. And draw upgrades in line 56 over here, it tries. I wonder what the problem could be at this point. Maybe it has something to do with one or the other of these things here. Let's put something together over there. So this is the upgrades one. What do we need? We need to have the upgrade ID. We need to have a name, test. I can literally put any string here, just for testing purposes. Then we need to have a coins. Yeah, probably it's because of the coins. What is the current coin amount we need? It's sitting inside. Yeah, maybe that is the issue. Let's say something like 10. Well, just for the moment to see if that might be the issue I have created beforehand. And let's take a look. As you can see, bug fixing can take longer than creating like hundreds of systems whenever you don't know where you need to look at. So currently I have 2 test items. Because I have overwritten them, I can try to buy them, and I can buy a maximum of 2, and I have no issues in the console. If I do the same here, the maximum amount is going to be 1, because we can implement this once again. We don't have any argument out of range exceptions over here. And I believe that's where it starts from, or where the problem starts from. The actual updates. Like, usually we cannot perform 2 upgrades over there. We need to, first off, make sure that we cannot make an update which is like only once lower than the actual length. So we need to declare the length to be -1 or the current level -1. So let's try that again, just to make sure we are at the right spot. So when I now perform these, I should be only able to perform 1 upgrade over here, but not a second one. And here I couldn't or shouldn't do anything, so it stays at level 0, because I haven't done anything to that fish things. So now let's take a look, since that is protected right now, and we cannot overdo it based on the length of the lists. We need to declare now how we actually, because that's where the problems have started, we now need to find the correct name over here of our upgrades. So that we start simple and pretty small. We want, from our upgrades list, we want to pick the name. So dot upgrade name. We want to pass this one here as a second parameter. We save that and see if that still works, and if the issue has been this one or another one. So I press play, I take a look, I try to do this, I try to do this, so everything works so far. We have a maximum of that, we have a maximum of 0, so we cannot do anything with the fish upgrade since we haven't implemented more than one. So the last one, the last issue is, since that works, is this one over here. So what does that represent is literally the current level of our price, and the price array inside, like the item price array over here. This is the price we want to see, is the price maybe not of the current one but of the next item, and that is the issue I guess we had beforehand. So what we want to know is, at first, the current item is going to be I. In here we have the IDs to change as well as the item price, and this is going to be just another array. And which item price do we now want to know is probably the one with the current level. But the current level, as you can see, is not available for us, so we need to put another one, like another index over here of the current item dot current level. So that's what I did before. And if the current level is 1 but there is no element, we need to negate it by 1, so we have no overflow. I believe that was the mistake we had done before, like this -1 has not been implemented into this, and so we are, since there is no element 1 in this particular case, now you can see this is where it starts. It cannot be -1 at this point, I guess, but it cannot be higher than anything else. So we cannot overdo it, but we can also not underdo it. We need to take a look into this again. So now we don't have this -1 and 2. We're gonna try to upgrade that first time. I tried to do it the second time, and same here, and everything is completely correct right now. So what does that mean? Is we're gonna take the first index. Here we read the first item upgrade which is necessary. So in that case, we would need to change the pricing of the item list. We try to upgrade it the second time, but we cannot do it because we kept it as being -1, so cannot overdo it. And so the updates inside the items themselves, like this complete part over here, I believe I just had a typo over there, which is going to be like the item price, and we need to take the current level being the index for this particular item price over there, and we need to read it from the currently looped through item as well. So that's why like, as you can see, like 2 arrays are talking to each other by taking the correct index of the currently looped through price or currently looped through current level. So I know it's a bit complicated, but I guess we got it right now. So now we just need to price our actual prices. So meaning the item price for the first item, or from the 0 item to the first item, should be 1,000 over here, and the next one should be 5,000, or is 0 if that is maxed out at this point. So the last element over here should maybe always be 0, because the next one we cannot afford it, we cannot purchase that, because there is nothing we can, purchase after that. So first item now in stones upgrade is going to be 1. Can also do maximize on play, and if I now click buy, it goes back to 0. We have like the maximum, the best item actually, and we cannot overdo it because it's done. And same here, everything is at 0. Pretty good, nothing fancy overall. Now when we want to buy that, we have another thing we need to take care of. First one, we need to see if we have enough money to buy this upgrade. So, and for that, meanwhile, we try to, or before we do this actual current level upgrade over here, we want to make use of our game manager. So we need to check if we have enough money from our current, the current price actually. What we could do is, or what we maybe should do is, we're gonna take an integer and name this maybe price. We just temporarily store that, so we don't need to go back and forth the whole time. We can say, okay, we pick the price whenever like we found the correct update from the correct ID. So we take the price from this particular item ID dot, and now we take the from the item price list. And now we need to once again do the same as we have done above. Like we need to talk to the current price item ID, whatever we are talking to, and pick the current level's price, and just store that. And now we need to go into the game manager and say something like if game manager dot instance dot, and now we need to know how much money do we actually have. And what we can do is, instead of just adding coins, we're gonna have to read the current coins, because we increase it and reduce it. Well, like we increase it when we sell things, but we also want to decrease it whenever we purchase something. So in that case, we want to have like two things here. The first one is a public void reduce points, or waste or use coins, maybe use coins. And then we need to implement the amount over there. And we also need to return the amount of coins. So we need to say public int get coins, or get coin amount. So we have something to return. In this case, we want to return the integer of the coin amount. So we say return coin. So we're gonna make use of this get coin amount to read and compare. And this one is to use it. Like we're gonna say, okay, if that happens, then we go into the use coin one. Like we're gonna make use of the coins, and then we say minus equal. We can also use add coins in this particular case, but put in a negative value. But in here we can also say minus equal whatever the amount is. Since we have positive numbers, we're gonna say coins minus equal the amount. And then we update the coin UI. So I'm gonna just copy this part and bring this over here. Don't forget to save. And now we just compare our get coin amount in a side before we do this. So we say if the game manager.instance.get coin amount. So we request that if that is a bigger or equal the price we have stored over here, only then we are able to perform that actual upgrade, like so. And also, whenever we upgrade that, we also want to upgrade the game manager to notice, okay, you need to reduce the coins right now. So we say game manager.instance.use coins. Use coins. And now we need to put in the price we want to reduce it from, and update the UI. So it's like once again a bit back and forth, but so we keep track of like everything for this particular parts. So now I press play, and we should be able to perform or purchase an update only if we are able to. So we go here, I press buy, but as you can see I cannot buy it because, well, I don't have enough money, right? So now let's produce 1,000 coins to get enough coins, not really. So I'm gonna smash a button over here. We have no items, which is absolutely funny. Okay, so fish works, but stones, I don't have stones in my backpack. What's going on over here with these stones? Let's take a look into our inventory in the game manager whenever we do so. Like here's our inventory. Let's see. I go out of maximize on play so I can take a look into the actual inventory over there. So whenever I hit this one, like this button, I should see the inventory getting an item whenever we click on this button. So I need to take a look onto the button if there's something wrong here. And it's using game manager.addStone1. So if we are in Game Manager and we're gonna find to add a stone, we want to get from the current upgrades instance, we want to put in the get upgrade ID. Let's see if that works. Get upgrade ID 0. So in our upgrades list, the item number 0, upgrades panel, or in this case Game Manager, we should get from index 0, we should get the stones. So this is like index 0, the stone upgrades is going to be element 0 in the list. We should get a 0 over here whenever we try to purchase this item. So what we do is we want to grab the upgrade ID from our upgrades. Now we've tried to find it. And we want to, based on this current level, we're going to return the one, and I believe it returns at this point, it returns 0. And when it's 0, then nothing works, or nothing should work, it seems. So we compare the requested ID from getting the upgrade ID from the Game Manager, from the on-click, literally, when we want to add stone. And that's why fishes do work, because they're still using the full index, the full number over there. But the upgrade instance get ID, and using this ID, whichever we request, and put this over there, doesn't work anymore, and we need to find out why that is the case. Since it become a bit more complicated in case of putting the ID. So what we do is we want to request the ID. We don't even need to loop through that, as I see right now, because this ID represents the actual upgrade list ID. So in here, that doesn't make sense at all. I ruined something here, but that's okay. So instead of that, we're gonna take the actual ID as we had before, and take a look into this particular ID's current level and return the ID of that. I believe that's why where the problem has been started. So we take the current upgrade ID and perform based on that and see if that works. So we cannot purchase anything because we don't have money for that. Now we're gonna go and take a look into stones. So whenever we sell them, we're gonna get the items. So I'm gonna purchase quite some, or just click multiple times over here, so we may or may not sooner or later get 1,000 coins. I'm gonna sell them all. Maybe I should implement a button like sell all, but well, why should I? Gonna get more money. Try to sell even more. Still not enough. So we need to pick even more over there. We sell them. Okay, so now, as you can see, it comes together like for one upgrade, you need to wait until you have enough stamina to get items into play. And so I need to do this once again. And now I have 1,005 coins. What I now go is to my upgrades panel and try to purchase the next stone upgrade for 1,000 coins. And what you can see is I was able to do this. The coins get reduced back to 5. And we are now at upgrade level 1. And we got this upgrade. What we now should be able to is not just having stones, but getting iron whenever we click on this. And as you can see, now we get iron. And we can sell these for, of course, a higher price. But beforehand, we had to purchase this particular upgrade for this particular stone type, I would say. We never go back at the moment, and probably never will. So whenever we now hit this button over here, we are able to get more iron, more coins on the long run. But of course, once again, we want to make sure that we get more stamina back while we are like eating fish. So whenever we have a fish in here, when we may or may not have iron over here, we want to be able to not just, or in this case, not sell the fish. we want to make sure that we are able to use or eat the fish, so we get stamina back. Like one specific fish gives us this amount of stamina back, for example. So how can we implement this stamina thing? Like, we are able to add stamina by anyhow remove and add stamina over here by the function we were creating in the first part. And we also update the stamina whenever we add it. So in here we add it or we eat it, whatever. We put a plus or a minus, then we cap it between 2, and then we update the stamina as well. When we want to eat a fish, like from the actual inventory, we want to eat that, we want to make use of this, and we want to call the function. Like, we don't just want to sell an item or add an item, we want to eat an item if it is possible. And this possible is going to give us another possibility, like we can upgrade or integrate that into the item itself. So we have again multiple possibilities to do that, and we can define something for that specific one, like whatever we get whenever we eat a specific item. And we also need to define it in any way, like meaning when it is 0, then we don't want to use that item because it doesn't give us any possibilities, or we just don't create the or we disable the use item whenever that is going to be at 0. So what we can do is we can update our item and say something like get stamina in our inventory. Like the item has like the possibility to give us stamina back whenever it is a fish, but it's only containing, or it's only useful when we have a fish. So again, if you want to have multiple lists, like just a stone list and just a stone list or a fish list, then of course you can differentiate between the two, or you're gonna disable items or buttons or game objects on objects whenever get stamina is going to be literally at 0. And of course we need to make sure that this item holder does understand this information. Probably for the fish there need to be another one, or we just eat it and get something in return, like one fixed number if we want to, so we don't have to go into the upgrades. But maybe a more rare fish will give more stamina back. So once again, hundreds of possibilities at this point. For buying the upgrades we have one button, but maybe for using something, like using an item, like using fish literally, we want to make use of that as well. So we want to have a create, we want to create a public void eat fish, or whatever it is. We want to eat this, and each fish might have a different value, as an example. So like by this get stamina. So we need to accept the fact on getting data for a stamina amount. Maybe we don't need to put it into anywhere. People will understand once they are at this point. Oh, like this item holder maybe stores the stamina over here. If it is 0, then it doesn't need to do anything. And whenever we get data, we maybe also want to deactivate the sell button. No, not the sell button, the use button. So we can do something like public game object use button. And currently the use button is always active, and at the very end over here, whenever we get the data from our actual automatic filler, we can say something like if use button is not equal to null. So we have actually we have created one and connected one, because there are other buttons which don't have a use button. If that is not equal to null, and so we're not going to make use of an AND operator at this point, and stamina is higher than 0, or if actually one or the other, or basically if that is bigger than, or let's say it is equal to 0, then we want to deactivate this use button. So use button dot set active, and in open close parentheses we're going to pass in false. So in here, we just make sure that when there is a use button and the stamina coming in is 0, then we want to deactivate the button because we don't need it. Also in this function over here, by getting the data, we want to put in another int, maybe underscore stamina. And in here, we want to set the stamina to be equal to underscore stamina. So we know, or we can now know if there is stamina involved or not. There will be now some errors coming. And this error is coming whenever we fill in upgrades or fill in inventories. So as you can see, corresponding to this is not being filled in because it requires an extra integer. And so we need to do this again in Game Manager whenever we fill, or in this case in inventory, whenever we fill the actual or draw the inventory. Like as you can see, it's red underlined saying, okay, get data needs to have another item or another information for this particular stamina. And so what we can do is we can take, maybe not get stamina, maybe just name it stamina here as well. What we can do is we can just pass in inventory I dot stamina and save that. So whatever the item has as a stamina parameter, if there is one, if it's a 0, then we don't care because we unhide it. But same for the upgrades. We're going to do the same here as well. And since upgrades don't really have a stamina, we can just pass in 0 as the last argument because, well, it doesn't give us anything. An upgrade doesn't give us any stamina at this point. Don't forget to save, and we are literally good to go. And these error messages should be gone. Pretty good. Now we can fill in the stamina for the fish. So the fish, maybe the first fish, does give us back maybe 5 stamina. So whenever we eat it, we want to make use of it, of course. And to do that, we want to make use of first, we need to go into the item holder prefab and connect the use button over here. We don't need to connect it to the upgrade holder literally because the upgrade holder doesn't contain any of these, but the item holder does. So I drag the item holder back into grid so it's easier for me to manage. I'm gonna select the item holder where I want to have the use button inside. So I take the use button and bring this in here. And since it's like bold right now, we need to make sure that we override and apply the change to the actual prefab. Now we can get rid of the item holder again. And now let's take a look. So whenever I now hit the pickaxe and open this one, you can see there's no use button. But if I now hit the fish, there is a use button. So currently it says sell, so we need to change the text pretty quick here inside that button. I bring this back into this. As you can see over there, it's just the use button just tells us nope. So we just rename it to be use. Gonna select the prefab again and go up, overrides and apply. Whoops, apply all. And we can now get rid of the item holder again. And now when we now get a fish and get some stones, we check our inventory, we can see that we are able to use the fish. And now I wait until I have a 40 over here in the bar. So we can see whenever we now use it, from 40 we should go increase to 45. But we don't have connected the use button, or like the use button from the item holder to actually eat the fish over here, as well as we don't have the functionality for that. And to do that, we just need to go into Game Manager once again. And we want to make use of add and remove stamina by whatever the amount is. And that is as simple as you already remember. First, we need to make it public, otherwise we don't have access to it. Don't forget to save. Now we go to item holder and say, okay, please go to Game Manager .instance .remove, oops, Game Manager .instance .remove and add stamina by, and since we are in the item holder already, we can just take stamina as being the indicator. Stamina. And now we are good to go, and we now are able to eat the fish with whatever the value is it can give us back. Once again, the value is represented by the actual inventory. So we have set the inventory stamina to be 5, and so now it should give us back that. But before we do that, on item holder, once again, back to our grid. We want to make use of the actual use button, so we go into the onClick event. We're gonna drag our item holder onto it. We add the function eat fish. And we override. And then we override that. And the final step is just test it out. So get rid of the item holder, save the scene, Control S for quick save, and now we should be able to have a fully upgradable fish thing. Like we should be able to eat the fish now, like so. And when we are at 43, or let me wait until 44, and we use it, we have a 49, and now everything works. And if we use again, we still, oh, actually we are not able to eat it, it seems, as well as it doesn't reduce the actual item from the, like we do not remove the item from the inventory. And that's what we need to do here as well, because when we eat a fish and get something in return, we want to reduce the fish from the inventory here as well. Like we need to not just add an item as we do over here, we want to delete an item as we do while we are literally selling that one. So, but since we don't want to sell that, we want to just remove it without selling it, like without getting this coin over here. We maybe could implement something like just a boolean, so we only add coins when this boolean is true or false. So we don't have to rewrite like everything, but deleting this line of code, it doesn't make sense. In that case, we just implement a bool eaten. So whenever something has been eaten, then we're gonna get this. So, and that makes total sense in the end, meaning in item holder, whenever we sell an item, we want to say false, because whenever we sell an item from the item holder, we don't eat it, but we gonna copy this line of code, and whenever we eat a fish, we want to sell an item, yes, but we want to make this one a true, because we eat it. When we eat it, we don't want to get money for that. So in inventory, once again back, we're gonna put in something like if eaten, or in this case if not eaten. So if we have not eaten this fish, only then we want to get coins by whatever the item costs we currently eat. Don't forget to save, and let's see if that works. Press play. I go maximize on play because we can see stuff better. So we now go and get some of these. We're gonna get some of that and go to, not to upgrades, but to our inventory. We wanna say, okay, we wanna use a fish. The item just gives us, as you have seen, the stamina back. We also reduce the amount over here. We redraw the inventory completely. And when we sell it, we get the coins because we didn't eat the actual fish. So the fish gives us 10 coins. Now we have nothing left. We can also sell the stones as we did before. We can get more fish. And we can use it to get back stamina, or we sell it to get coins. And that's literally everything around getting things, selling things, and so on and so forth. And we can now add way more fishes if we want to the inventory. The rest is done automatically. We just need to configure the update manager literally, which tells us what the fishes are going to be about. So let's test it out pretty quick here as well. So in our game manager, we have now fish, stone, and iron. I'm gonna increase the possible items to be a 4, and instead of having a fish, we're gonna give it a goldfish, or a goldfish maybe, and an ID of 2. It doesn't matter. The cost is going to be give us 50 maybe, as being a goldfish gives us way more than a normal fish. A normal fish gives us 10. Let's make it 20. Amount is 0, and it gives us like 10 stamina as an example, or 8, and that's it for the fish. So once again, maybe you want to make it so that you first off add all the fishes, like one fish after another, then you go for the other stuff, like for the stones in this list, for the possible items. Or you have like 2 different lists and just add the first one and then add the second one at this point. For the upgrades directly for the fishes over here, for the fish upgrades, we want to have like, we do have like 2 elements for the price. So the first fish upgrade does cost, let's say, 500, and the IDs to change are going to be over here. The first fish ID is going to be ID 1, and the second ID for the goldfish is going to be ID 2. Well, that should be the actual in the correct way, because the other upgrades over there are 10 and 11, and the price is 1000. Okay, with that out of the way, we're gonna save the scene, and we now should be able to get not just normal fish but also other fish. I'm gonna try to keep everything in our inventory. There's one thing about the inventory which I explained in the first one, but let's get some coins here and there, maybe some more stones, and I want to keep one fish in the list over here, like so. I have enough money right now, so I can go to fish upgrades and buy a fish upgrade. As you can see now, it's level 1. I kept 1 fish in my inventory, as well as I cannot actually purchase the stone upgrade, which is okay. But in our inventory, I still have 1 normal fish left. But if I now go catch more fish, I should get a goldfish, but I don't. Interesting. Shouldn't we get a goldfish? Let's try that out again. Gonna get some stones over here. Get some fish. Have an inventory and selling these fish for money. Selling all the hundreds of stones over there. And maybe just in case add another stone so we have it here in the inventory. But on the other hand, when we now go to the upgrade screen and say, okay, we upgrade our fish, we now click on the fish again. We still use stamina. We don't get any errors. And in our inventory, we should have now another fish, but we don't. Now, let's take a look. We have 7 fish. And if I hit this one, we have 13 fish. So actually the upgrade for the fish itself doesn't take place at all. And I can tell you why. Because the button of the fish does still work on the other way, like the old way. Like we add fish here, we add stone here, but the add stone uses the another upgrade, literally version than this one. Here it was a fixed one, but here now we want to grab all the information about the upgradable fish in the first index, so literally the second index on element 2 from our upgrade list. So first is again stone upgrades, second is fish upgrades. Fish upgrade is element 1 in this list. That's why we need to upgrade this one right now. I hope I saved. Yes, I did. And now whenever we do the same, we go and get some stone again. We get some fish again. Meanwhile, we sell things. We're gonna get more than enough money, I hope. So we sell more or some stones over here and sell some fish. 513. We still have 14 fish. That's good. We're gonna update the fish to be next level. It gets reduced over there, and when we now add more fish, we should have a goldfish. And now we can sell the goldfish for 20 bucks each time here as well. Nice. So now we have a fully functional, finally, a fully functional part about the fish, about the pickaxe. There's one more thing about the shovel, but well, we are able to shovel things away. I have a pretty high number over here, so we can, free some space even further whenever we have enough stamina. But we can now eat. That's a good thing. We can now eat the fish. We eat this. We get like 8 or something in return. And we can do now shovel our little dinosaur with some high numbers, high values. Gonna use more goldfish. Gonna use the other. I ate too much, I guess. But now we can unhide our dinosaur. And now we should have something like, tada, you won the game. Of course, once again, the shovel itself is not, shouldn't be that high in this case. So meaning whenever we click on the shovel button, which is this one, we shouldn't get, why does it add stone? Oh yeah, of course, that's the wrong button. So this one over here, we shouldn't reduce it by 11,000. We should just take 1 or 2 or whatever you think is going to be correct. Pretty good. Don't forget to save. So now that becomes even more in a shape. We may or may not see this. And if you have later on like a shovel upgrades, you now know how upgrades work. You can also put them into a list of shovel upgrades. They have their own identifier for being an upgrade in this case. So here we just literally upgraded the fish to whatever the amount is going to be later on. We just set them up and that's good to go. We know what we can do with these. Now to literally by the shovel upgrades, we would also probably unlock something like having people to do everything automatically for us, like automatically go fish, automatically go hunt for stone, the highest possible stone, automatically shovel, and automatically, that's the last one, is selling fish or selling stone. Or well, maybe selling fish is not a good one because we want to maybe eat it for stamina, but maybe having an upgrade for selling automatically all the stones we have in the inventory, like if there is one. We created this one like for the auto-selling fish. In that case, we just, instead of doing this, we just call our inventory and say we want to sell an item, and we can give it just an ID we want to sell. And this ID, once again, this is going to be maybe another tricky part because we may or may not be able to pick the correct ID over here, because we maybe wanna get rid of quite some different IDs and loop through all the different IDs. So sell the first kind of stone possible, or maybe only the current active one, then we can get the ID from the upgrade manager. Well, all of that is completely and totally up to us, and we can purchase these upgrades maybe by just for like a single upgrade. So whenever we purchase or buy some people upgrade, I would say, where people are doing our work for us to automatically sell, automatically get items, like automatically grab stones for us, or automatically grab coins or sell stuff for us, and so on and so forth. All of that is completely working fine by just clicking on a button and say yes, do this. Let's put these functions pretty quick together, so I have like basically everything necessary for this. To do so, we can start literally do the same as whenever we buy an upgrade with one specific ID. We can upgrade or just take this ID, but maybe instead of using this type of upgrades here by using stone upgrades or ID to change or item price, depends on how much we're gonna actually have in the long run, or in the last or very last, and then we're gonna maybe automate this directly in upgrades. So we can also automate this in Game Manager. Basically, where we unlock that functionality, it doesn't really matter at all. So if we would go and create an upgrade which does a specific thing, and we maybe are not able to get this done or get this running as we want to. So what we could do is, for a gather upgrade, we maybe need to define how we actually want to do this. So maybe we're gonna do this like differently, but we cannot add it directly to it. So probably it would be easier to inherit a class and give some extra functionality. Maybe also with an extra setting, like is gathering wood, is gathering stone, is gathering sand, or is auto selling, something like this. Depending on this settings, we may or may not be able to put these upgrades together, depending once again on how we want to manage these things. But let's perform these actual ones. So again, we are able to perform an upgrade. I just maybe we're gonna find, since we have fixed IDs here, we maybe wanna put this onto specific IDs as an example. We can, once again, we can outsource that. We can put this people upgrades to a different, let's say, manner or in a different way, whatever. But for the moment, I just take what we have already, and then we take a look into these. So void auto sell, or let's say auto fish. Auto fish maybe is a easier one. Why do I do this in upgrades? Is because I can directly go deep enough into the upgrades list, so I don't need to go from anywhere else. I just have auto fish, which I can purchase as an upgrade, so I can keep it literally here inside. I can keep this one running the whole time, like once a second if I want to. I can also do this like in a, as I said before, in a coroutine. Probably we do this. So something like IE numerator autofish. The IE numerator is a coroutine, so we can do a check. Literally, we only start it once at the beginning of the game, and we only do the autofishing if we have autofish unlocked, like if it is like at level 1, but not at level 0. So the current level of autofishing, we need to declare, since we're gonna make use of a shovel as being number 2 over here. We maybe want to skip that shovel upgrade, because you know how it works already, and maybe we're gonna do autofish at index 2. Then we have auto I don't know, auto pick X or something being index 3. Then we have auto shovel maybe 4, and auto sell maybe on 5. Auto sell only happens to stones or pick like ore or whatever. Auto sell the ore. So the actual auto fish, we can run this like once again in an IE numerator in a coroutine, but we want to make use of this particular ID we just give it. Again, if you wanna have shovel and at being 2, which is probably the best idea over here, not at index number 6, it might be better over there. We want to check if in our update or upgrade list, in square brackets 2, which is going to be index 2 for auto fishing whenever we decide to make use of that, if current level is bigger than 0, only then we want to perform autofish. Otherwise, we just we still stay over here. So to stay over here, we're gonna create a while loop and say something like while true. So while this loop is running, we wanna check if our current level of our autofish index is going to be bigger than 0. So we have purchased at least the first item. If that is the case, we want to use now our fishing function we have like sitting on our literally on our item holder, I guess, but not the eating. We wanna, well, we wanna, yeah, what would we wanna do? We wanna get a fish. We wanna add a fish over here. So, and that's actually everything we wanna do. We wanna add a fish to our inventory. And to do that, we just call our game manager. So we say game manager.instance.addFish. And now we want to take a look into what is the actual current level of that. So we basically do the same as we already do over here. We want to see which, well, maybe it's not just the amount. Oh, well, yeah, we just need to have an amount for this. So we can say add fish with an amount of 1. And then we want to wait for a couple of seconds. So yield, return, new, wait for seconds. And let's assume every 3 seconds we are able to get a fish. And based on the level, we can maybe reduce the time being fished or the amount. So literally, we can say instead of being add fish 1, we can also say something like add fish based on current level. So in this case, it's upgrade in square brackets 2, whatever the current level is. So we want to add this amount. Like if we are level 10, we add 10 fish. If we are gonna be just 1, then we just add 1 fish. And we do repeat this now, meanwhile in autofish every 3 seconds. And only if current level is bigger than 0. So we have purchased at least the first update for this, or upgrade. And now we can just prepare everything for that. The only thing is we now need to start the coroutine. So in start, after we were done, or we are done with everything, we're gonna say start coroutine autofish. And we do this, by the way, for the other ones later on as well. So we start the coroutine, we go into the while loop, while the, or if our current level from the number 2 over here is bigger than 0, we're gonna add a fish to the game manager, and then we're gonna wait 3 seconds and return or repeat this meanwhile this loop is running. So that's everything about autofishing. So now we just need to prepare the upgrade for upgrade list number 2. And you need to make sure that this upgrade list 2 is actually existing. So actually the index or the item in our upgrade list, like the element is, the first one again is 0, the second one is 1, the last one is going to be 2. So this is like auto fish. We start at 0. The ID is going to be number 3 because, well, we are at spot number 3 over here. IDs to change, literally these IDs, let's assume we can make 5 updates. These IDs over here, they don't need to be anything because we don't use them. Because, well, we don't talk to them, but we need to have the current level being the same as being the IDs to change. We have like 5 upgrades we can purchase. First one maybe costs 10,000. But to make it simpler to add to it, we're gonna make something like this, maybe like 250, and last one is 0 because, well, we cannot purchase the last one. So 1, 2, 3, 4 upgrades. Literally in total it's going to be 5, but the last one cannot be upgraded, so it stays at 0. Don't forget to save. And now we should be able to perform that whenever we have enough money to purchase this upgrades, literally. So let's see if the compiler has any issues over here. Oh. Seems my Unity froze. So I guess I have done something wrong. So I have to restart my Unity, it seems. I believe so that the while loop doesn't like me, so I'm gonna have to end this task pretty quick and start my Unity hub again and get everything back. Sorry about that. Yeah, it's interesting why so I tried to get this one up and running once again. Anyhow, it's empty. That's funny. So let's hope everything is back to normal. And let's see, while true, usually this can only be run once anyway. So while this is true, we should be able to do this. Maybe we need to do the yield statement afterwards. I guess that's the issue. So we need to have the yield inside the while loop and not only if that is the case. Otherwise we have like a lot of calls over here. So we just do this and then we do this like outside of this if statement. Otherwise the yield never gets touched at this point. So let the compiler run. Sadly, they don't tell you that, but when the yield is outside, like inside the while loop, everything should be back to normal. Okay, so now when we go into our upgrades one, we should see the amount of 10. We need 10 coins to buy auto fishing. So, and that's what we do now. I wonder if that is repainting like everything. So I'm gonna get some stones, get some coins, go to upgrades and buy autofish. So I purchased that for $10, and the interesting part is by using auto fishing, it also uses up the stamina. So, and when we go to our inventory, you should see that it always upgrades itself by every 3 seconds we get 1 fish. So auto fish literally works with this coroutine, but we don't want to make use of the stamina. Because later on when we have like multiple staminas or multiple auto runners, we don't want to decrease the autofish thing. So best way in here once again is when we want to do autofish, we only want to do this, of course, whenever we are not doing stuff automatically. Or we only want to use that whenever we click on a button, but not by taking this. If we don't like to use add fish, we could also do a different way. I'm gonna copy this complete line right now, and instead of calling the game manager to adding the fish, we could also say we directly call the inventory to add a fish. But since we are now in upgrades already, we can literally just take the function get upgrade for the ID1, which is already here inside, like over here. We just pass in ID1 for the coroutine, so we don't make use of stamina. Gonna let the compiler run. We're gonna restart and see if that works again or as well. So we first off get something, sell something, and go to upgrades and buy auto fishing and see if that works. I go and we need, since we don't waste any more of the stamina by doing this automatically, we need to go into here and see if auto fishing works. And as you can see, auto fishing works. We still get stamina back. We can sell things, like we can sell all these fish, and whenever there's no fish left, then the auto fisher now goes and brings more fish into play. And we can, once again, we can leave this running like the whole time, and we can now do the same for stones. So for getting stones, then we need to find the next one would be pickaxe, auto pickaxe. It's going to be like our element 3 in our upgrade list. We're gonna name this auto pick. We're gonna make sure that we grab item ID 0 over here because that's the correct one at this point. Now we just need to define or create the actual upgrades manager. So in here we have the autofish. As you have seen, these are completely or should completely work. We'll take a look into these as well. The IDs to change, once again, they can stay 0. All because we don't need them. I'm gonna increase the size to be 4. We rename this one to be auto pickaxe, whatever. Then we're gonna have an ID of 4. We have an item price. We can literally keep them as they are. We have 5 upgrades in total. We're gonna save the scene and press play again. Oh, there's one more thing we haven't done yet, is we haven't started the coroutine for auto pick. Gonna copy this, go to the start function, in which we also started the other coroutine. Open close parentheses, pass in auto pick, and there we go. Control S for save. And now we should be able to auto pick and upgrade auto pick as well, because we added this one also to our upgrades manager. And we should see this over here. Whenever I try to purchase, I can't because it's impossible. Go here, we have like 11 stones. I sell some so we get some money. And now we go to upgrades and purchase auto pick. As you can see now, these increase their price automatically. So whenever we try to purchase these, we can't. But in our upgrades over here, we can see now we get 1 every 3 seconds. We can sell some to get some more money. And if I go and purchase in upgrades now our auto pickaxe to be higher level, we are now at level 2, and we should get now 2 at a time. But we don't. That's interesting. The current amount on a stone should now be not 1 per iteration, it should be now 2. So let's take a look into, I just pause it, what the upgrade level, the item price, ID to change, doesn't really matter. The upgrade level for auto pickaxe is now 2, and we should now take the current level being added to it. Oh, because, well, we are not using add item in this particular case. We call just add item inside the inventory, which only adds, well, 1 item over here. How did we actually did it different over here? Well, we didn't pass in an amount afterwards, so we always only get 1 item. So what we can do is we can loop through the amount of current items or current amount in our auto fish as well as in our auto pickaxe. So we can literally put a for loop over here and loop through the current level amount. So in that case, we create a for or for each. No, we're gonna do a for loop. So the maximum over here is going to be the current level of whatever the item list level is going to be. Copy, paste. What we need to do is we need to perform this as often as we go through the list. So like if the current level is 1, then we do this just once. Like because, well, you know, because it's just 1, this is 0 to 1, and we just perform it once. If it is 2, then we perform it 2 times. If it is 3, then we perform it 3 times. Well, that's the idea behind it. We're gonna do the same over here as well, but instead of using item upgrades number 3, we need to item upgrades number 2, because that is the indicator for the index for our fish update. Don't forget to save, and let's see if that works now. So on the maximum, it should add 5 times an item. I'm not quite sure if that is a good one, since it needs to redraw the item, the actual inventory every time it does the upgrades. So let's try that out. So every time we add some, it redraws everything. Not quite sure if that is bad or good. And if we now go and purchase our upgrade for just a pickaxe, We should now go and see that we get 1 each time every 3 seconds. But if we purchase now the second one, which costs 50, I need to sell some. So go to upgrades, pickaxe. Now we should get 2 at a time. As you can see, from 9 to 11, from 11 to 13, and so on and so forth. And of course, the last part is just testing out like the full possibilities for getting all these stones, getting more than enough money. Let's try to upgrade to the maximum pickaxe amount over here. Okay, so next one was, oh, I don't have enough money for the next one. So now we should get 3 at a time. There we go, works good. And now we should be able to purchase the next upgrade to 250. And we now are at level 4. Like this is once again representing level 4. And each time we should get now 4 items as we do over here. So we are now at 23, then we get 27, and so on and so forth. And we can now sell all of these and get even more content. If we now upgrade the stone upgrades with $1,000, so it takes a while, so we need to sell quite some stones over here, like that. Maybe one more or two, so we see the values, and we now go and upgrade these. Instead of getting just stones, we should now get iron, and in the same amount. As you can see, now we get 4 iron at a time, so we can sell it for even more, like so, and we get even more money in the end. So we can sell all the stones. We don't get any more stones, which is okay. And we can also do this for auto fishing, so we can purchase all auto fish. And our inventory now fills up with fish, like 4 at a time, because maximum upgrade, as well as maximum possible upgrade for these irons. We can get even more. We can eat the fish, or we can sell them for some money, as we already implemented beforehand. And of course, we can upgrade our fish upgrades over here. So now we have maxed out basically everything. And our inventory now should fill with goldfish as well, like 4 at a time. Nice, and that's, as you can see, pretty simple. The upgrades can be used for multiple things. You just need to understand how you can make use of them. Same for the shovel upgrades, would be the same. It's like we could do auto shovel the same way. We just need to actually reduce by whatever the amount is. Like, where is it? Like where we remove sand. So we're gonna have this here. It's already a public function. We're gonna try to remove the sand by whatever the incoming amount is. And so when we do auto remove, we are able to, well, in that case, it measures automatically for stamina, which is quite interesting, because we never check here for enough stamina. That's interesting. So we never did a test for using these buttons here, like for adding stones. We never checked for stamina, it seems. So we need to do this here as well in a site adding stone and adding fish. We want to make sure that we of course have enough stamina when we click on these buttons, like that. So, and what we want to do is that when we remove sand, we maybe get around this, like anyhow, by using maybe something else, like another indicator for here, or, well, we're gonna create another function over here, which is literally doing the same stuff, but without the stamina check at this particular point. Okay, so, and in that case, we can create another coroutine. Literally, we just create, actually call another number over here, or, well, we're gonna create just another function which is sitting inside the game manager to reduce it. So literally, we do the same. We copy the auto pick. I guess we have shovel at the next part. Auto shovel, part 4, or index 4. we're gonna say auto shovel over here. We're gonna set this one to be number 4 as being our upgradable content, and instead of adding an item to anywhere, by the way, we can also increase and decrease this waiting for seconds, something like that. We, instead of removing sand with maybe this stamina involved, we want to do another one. I just copy this part. Since there are things we don't need, we don't want to reduce stamina and remove an add. We just want to add this one, and we don't want to have this one. So we just reduce it and clamp it between 0 and 1. And we're going to rename this one to something like auto remove sand. Going to save that. And in here we could literally take, depending on the level, we could take different things in consideration, like being what the removed amount is, based on, well, not the price but the IDs, like the upgrade IDs. So the IDs to change, we can make reuse of IDs to change, which is going to be maybe the removed amount or possible removed amount. That means whenever current level is higher than this and that, we're going to say, okay, when the current level is equal to 1, we remove like 1 sand. If it is 2, then it removes like 5 sand. And if it is like, I don't know, up to 5 or 10 or whatever the amount is, doesn't really matter. We're going to remove up to, let's say, 100 sand per second or per 3 seconds. Or per whatever seconds we want. So in that case, we're going to say remove, or in this case, we first off need to call game manager .instance .auto remove sand. And now becomes interesting. What is the correct amount? As we already spoke about, is first we want to know the index over here. So in here we're going to take the IDs to change. We take the index of the current level. So in that case we're going to need to say the same stuff like as we do here, and bring this into the square parentheses, like so. So now we should be able to remove by the current level being the index to whatever the current IDs to change is going to be. IDs to, once again, to change is going to be the shovel amount at this particular point. So if it is 0, then we reduce it to 0. First of course, we need to create it. Like the upgrade over here, I'm gonna put another one into the upgrade list. So upgrade size is going to be now 5. This is going to be auto shovel sand, something like this. Current level starts at 0. ID is going to be 5, so always 1 higher than the opposite. So at the first level, or at the level 0 at this point, we're gonna keep at 0. In here we wanna remove 1, 5, whatever, 25, and maybe 100, something like that. Doesn't really matter, I guess. And the item price, well, let's keep them as they are. So we can remove this or that amount by whatever the IDs to change is going to represent based on the current level we are currently in. Let's test it out. Oh, one more thing again, we need to start the coroutine, of course, as we already have to have over here. So we will run 3 coroutines now at the same time for auto shovel. Control S for quick save. And when we press play, we want to go and get some money. Like, first off, we get some stones. We're gonna sell these stones. And now we want to purchase auto shovel, like this. And now we should see every 3 seconds we reduce by 1 sand. If we buy the next one, we should remove 5 at a time. Or even 10, it seems. 10, okay. So index 2 over here goes to 10, and when I buy the next one, if I can, but I can't, so I need to purchase some stone and sell some stone. Go again over here, buy this for 100, so index number 3 should now reduce it for 25, I guess. 768. Yeah, something like that should be correct. Nope, it's even more. How much do we reduce it? It's a 25. Okay, interesting. It didn't look like it. Oh, I know why it didn't look like it. Because we are currently looping through the current action this and that amount of time, so we just get rid of the for loop over here. Otherwise, based on the level, it gets like multiplied too often. We could also say something like yeah, the current level again, and keep that in by auto picking. That might make sense. By auto fishing, it might make sense as well. So we add only one item at a time, but based on the current level, we add more, like up to 4. We can also multiply the current level by 2 or something. But over here, when we automatically remove send, we have like all the necessary information inside IDs to change. So we don't want to loop through that like based on the amount of current level. So the first one should now be not 2 or whatever it has been, but 1. So let's try it out again. I'm gonna grab some stones first, so we can sell something. We're gonna get some money for this. If we want to keep it a bit more, let's say, so we can do something, we auto pickaxe that and we auto shovel. So auto shovel once again should now go once through that. In the next level, level 2, it should reduce it by 2. Nope. It did it by 5. Oh yeah, 5. That's the next correct one. Then the next one should reduce by 25. Looks good and looks correct. So next one should be a 4 behind. Yeah, there we go. And the last should give us... Oh, we don't have enough money, so we pretty quickly go that and purchase some and go to the we go to the upgrades. And then the last one we should get 100 each time. So each time this number is going to do our work. Pretty decent. And now we have like an automated upgrade system in which we can like literally upgrade anything we want to. We just loop through, talk to the correct upgrade loop. In this particular case, we have now the possibility to auto shovel, auto pick, auto fish, upgrade like fish upgrades, stone upgrades, get different things. Like we can, if we have enough money, of course, can do auto fish here as well. We cannot purchase more than that because now auto shovel is at maximum level and it's actually 0 over here. We can also purchase auto pickaxe. And the last one is going to do auto sell, which is going to be the final part I'm going to discover in this complete in this complete series over here for today, or in general, because it's literally doing the same. So we want to perform auto selling whenever we have purchased auto selling. So auto sell is going to be inside point number 5. So we want to auto sell like the last item we have upgraded. So the first items are not going to be sold, just the best items literally. So that's what I want to achieve over here. We go into upgrade list number 5 because that's the one we want to know about. And this one over here is not necessary, but what we can do is by current level we can literally sell multiple times based on the current level. So we do not just sell 1 or 2 or 5. We can we just by upgrade we can sell more at the same time. How do we sell items? Our inventory has a sell item functionality over here, so we need to just call sell item the amount of times we need to know about. And probably there is some issue I just see over here because we do not check if we have more of the amount possible, but I guess it doesn't make sense, and we reduce the item, or we remove the temporary item if we have an amount of 0 over here. So we just sell and see what's happening. If we are selling more than we can actually handle, then we just take a look and see if that works actually, or if we are unable to sell it. Because beforehand we didn't need it to, because we deleted the actual item over there, or the actual item holder so we could not, or what we were not able to overdo it literally. But when we automate things, we may or may not hit a bottleneck at a time. So what we now want to do is, again, we want to go through level 5, which is our upgrade list level 5, based on the current board index over here. If we have at least a level 1 purchased of our auto sell functionality, we want to go through that by, as much through it by doing that. Now we go to our inventory.instance.sell an item. And now we need to know which item do we get, as well as is it gotten eaten. And it is not getting eaten. So we need to set this one to be here, to be false, so we get actually money for our sell. Now we need to know what is the current ID. And the current ID once again comes from the, since we want to sell stones only, we can now go into our upgrades list and see what is the stone item over here. We do not want to sell, or I don't want to sell the fish. I just want to sell the picked up items literally. And to do so, we need to know, okay, what is where, and our stones are going to be in index number 0 of our upgrade list, in which we know the highest ID, which is currently purchasable. And this one is the only one we want to sell. So in that case, we say upgrade list in square brackets 0. So this is the, oh wait. Yeah, it should be this one. Upgrade list in square bracket 0 dot. Now we have the IDs to change in square brackets, and now we need to take a look into this once again based on the current upgraded level of this item. Dot current level is going to be the index we want to sell, and that should be it. Let's take a look and see if that works. First off, we of course need to once again update or create our auto sell upgrade over here to be number 6. We rename it to be auto sell. Our IDs to change are literally not necessary at this point again. We just zero them out. We have like 5 possible updates for the moment, and the first one, and this is just a cost. We just keep them as they are, so they are simply to perform and actually to make. So, and we need to, of course, once again, oops, wrong button. We need to once again start the coroutine for doing auto sell. So I just copy, paste, and rename auto shuffle to be auto sell. Hit save again, and every now and then, like every 3 seconds now, auto sell should trigger based on whatever we had. Just need to wait until my compiler is done running. There we go. And now let's see. The only thing we don't have is set up is the correct ID, I guess. So auto shuffle is 5. So this one is the auto sell is going to be the upgrade ID number 6. Just keep that in mind to upgrade these or update these ones here as well. So first off, once again, we start the game. We get our stamina back. We are selling our stones to get enough money. And now we want to go and upgrade auto sell. Buy this once. And now what should happen is we should increase money every time we get 15. As you can see, we are currently at stone over here. And now what I want to try is I want to sell this by hand. I want to see if I don't have any item. You can see it doesn't show me any because we don't get more than we have. But if we do that, it reduces it up until a specific point, meaning this point is going to be if there is one item, we negate the actual item. What I want to see if we go to the negatives, so now we should go into the negatives, like the amount on this particular item should usually go backwards. But let's take a look into the item list or inventory. As you can see, the inventory is now 0, so there is nothing left inside over here, so we can keep on calling this version or this function, but it doesn't do anything. Now let's purchase auto pickaxe, like the best one over here. we pick multiple times some stones. So we get now 6 in return. What does it mean is we are now selling 2 and getting 4 like every 3 seconds. And if I would increase auto sell up to its maximum, if it is one day necessary, like because we have sold more than enough, as you can see, we get more back in return, like because we sell the same amount we get. We now should be able to also increase auto pickups and auto sell. So first off, we can go for this one. So we sooner or later hit the lower amount to be back to be 0 literally, because we only can sell 3 even if we pick up 4 and vice versa, or we can sell 4 even if we only pick up 3 in this case. So whenever this is reached, gonna help it a bit. Whenever this is reached, then it empties out, then it refills automatically back to whatever the amount is. So we pick now 3 up, but sell 4, so we never see them because there is they run at the same time. So that's why we don't see anything over here. But if we add some, we're gonna see what's happening to these, and whenever they trigger, then they trigger correct. Pretty good. So same for auto pickaxe, we can now do this. We can also do auto shovel. Now we have enough money, we can do auto fishing fully. We can buy the highest fish upgrade if we have more than enough money. We can help it by doing this. We can also help it by picking some more iron if we are actually upgrading them to be iron. So we just keep on picking. We need to still sell way more stones over here, like so. And now when we go to stone upgrades iron, we're gonna sell iron for way more. But also we're gonna have the possibility to pick up iron right now and sell this as well. And what we do now is we sell now 4 times iron, we get 4 times iron, so our money is literally increasing faster than we would like to see that. We can also buy the fish upgrades, and now we have all the upgrades actually purchased. We get automatically items. We automatically dig 100 away over here from our actual goal. At this point we can also use stamina to dig it away, and that's literally everything for the goal. Once again, I now put all the digging upgrades and all the auto upgrades, put them over here, so literally that icon becomes obsolete, like this button becomes obsolete. And the last one is just you know, whenever you do something like do 100 clicks, then you do the achievements. It's nothing else than the other ones, like the other shop things, or like literally like the update screen. We just maybe no, we don't need any buttons or something. We just have, okay, achievement unlocked, this and that name, maybe description, click 1,000 times, do this and that. Just do it as the other ones have been over there as well. So, and the final idea is just to finish the game, and this is basically every time you reduce stone, you want to check if the game has been won, and then you can just go into another scene or something like that. Super simple to create and super simple to implement. Like when we auto remove sand or when we remove sand at all, we want to check what the sand amount is and then just do the game over stuff. So usually I name things like that with win condition. So win condition, and anytime we perform something, we can request if the win condition has been met. So if sand is actually equal to 0, we know that we have won the game. We can, for example, load a new scene, something like scene manager dot load active scene, and then load the game over scene. Or you have a game over panel, which you can actually unhide by, well, get, by set active to be equal to true, and then you can have something like a button onto it in which you go back to the menu and so on and so forth. So literally we just need to call win condition. So whenever that is happening, I can do something like debug.log you win. Something like that. It's just for testing purposes. Once again, you're gonna load another scene. You just go and perform whatever you think. You're gonna play anything, and you wanna, if you stay inside the same scene, you wanna maybe stop the coroutines which are currently running, and if not, well, then just keep them running until you leave the scene. They will run, and then they will stop automatically whenever you change the scene anyways. And that's it, guys. That's everything we need for simple things done as quick as possible. So you can see we just have like implemented all the necessary functionalities. We have talked about coroutines. We have talked about invoke repeating. We were talking about headers and images, text, integers, floats. Well, we didn't touch floats, but basically nothing else in this. We have created multiple functions over here which we can actually perform things to and from. We can call them at any time. Once again, whenever we remove or auto remove the send over here, like maybe at this particular point. If we remove send at the very end, we want to check for the win condition over here, open close parentheses, and we are good to go. And we're going to do the same. I'm going to copy this, call. We want to do the same on auto remove send, like over here. If that is the case, then you want to say, yay, party, you want to play particles, whatever you're pleasing like, and you know, okay, send is equal to 0. The game has been won. We can restart the game if we want to. We can give an achievement if we want to, and so on and so forth. As you can see, super simple, nothing too fancy overall, and a simple game idea can become quite nice, I would say. Also, we were taking a look into possible upgrades, possible items we can literally grab over here. We can extend this to 100 different items. There's one more thing, is the item list is not scrollable, but well, for the moment it doesn't really matter. And you can easily find it out how that is going to perform and going to work in the future by just, or just go back to one of my videos called weapon shop inventory or something like that, in which I just explained just one extra step in which you are scrolling literally the grid over here. If you have any questions or if you need any game help in any case, just feel free to go down below into the description. There's my website. Just contact me and we may or may not can do or bring your project to the next level. If you want to need my help, if you want to hire me, then you have the possibility to do so. Also, make sure you take a look into the description, because there are multiple courses in which you can learn even more content about different specific games, if you like to, and then just go into them. I would like to see you over there. And once again, if you have any questions, feel free to ask. I try to answer as best and as fast as I can, and if I can't, well, then it is what it is, right? Once again, thanks a lot for all of you guys tuning in over here. I hope you enjoyed this 3-part simple game, actually, design, let's say free design course over here. And I hope to see you in one or the other course on Udemy if you like to, or anywhere else on any other platform. Thanks a lot again, and take care.